If your firearm comes with something like this that says it's one of 545 that have ever been made and no more will ever be produced, you've effectively purchased a safe queen, something that should be insured, protected, should be kept under lock and key because it's an investment, not a training tool. Unless you're me, in which case you'll take that one of 545 Galils, you're gonna deck it out with all the parts you need and make it an even more capable fighting platform. So today, we're gonna talk about my one of 545 in existence Galil Ace 5.45 by 39s. Shooting your eye out or your jugular is not cool. It's not something you want to do on your range day, and buying cheap, questionable steel targets can increase that risk and they can hurt you. I know it sounds like a sales pitch, but it is true. You should be investing in quality American-made steel target systems that are made from premium ingredients and materials, and they are designed in a way to be effective and safe. And the good news is TA Targets manufactures just those steel target systems. And in front of me, I've got one of the examples of our steel target systems. This is a 1/2-inch reduced C-zone plate. This is the warranty claim plate that we have put through the freaking ringer over the last year. I've shot everything from M80A1, M855A1, M2 armor piercing incendiary, and recently we just did a video with Israeli M61 ammunition in a 300 Winchester Magnum going 3,200 feet per second almost. And there are these impacts down here. It barely left a mark on the plate. So if you're looking for the best quality steel targets, in my opinion, on the market, look no further than the TA Targets 1/2-inch AR550 line of products. The 1/2-inch AR550 strike plates like this one feature a lifetime one replacement warranty, which means you can train with it effectively. You don't have to worry about your investment, and you know that it is a safe, effective target system for your training needs. And the TA vision is to inspire individuals to become capable providers and protectors. Buying a quality steel target takes you well along on that journey to become a capable provider and protector. Before I start my videos, I always go into the disclosures. I want you guys to know who I'm working with, who I'm not working with, if I got paid for something, if I got free product. I think that that's the least that I owe you, because there can be inherent biases whenever a company supports a creator or a channel. I think that it is my responsibility to tell you when that has occurred. So let's talk about what was sent to me on this rifle and if there's any contracts or any money exchanged. Spoiler alert, nobody paid me for this video. I have no contracts for this video. I legitimately woke up this morning at about 6 in the morning and I was like, you know what, we're gonna do a Galil video today. So nobody that even sent me these parts knows I'm making this video, but I think it's important to talk about it. So the optic I purchased, the folding adapter buffer tube brace, I bought that. The Galil 545 was sent to me back in 2020, but I have no contracts with IWI or anything like that. The RS Regulate rail was sent to me. The K&S Precision piston, the plastic delete kit, the grip, and some of the other components were sent to me. I bought the flash hider and I bought the cloud defensive light. The sling that's on the back here is from Haley Strategic. Those are good friends of mine. They did send that out as a gift as well. And the charging handle is from K&S. They did send that out for free as well, but no money was exchanged to make this video. And I don't make any money if you purchase any of these products. So let's talk first, why did I land on a 5.45 by 39 Galil? And that's a story that we've got to go back in time to 2020. And I know if you've been in the gun industry or you are a gun owner or you're passionate about firearms, you remember very, very clearly what that was like in 2020 getting ammunition. So in 2020 with all the COVID stuff, all the shutdowns, people were buying ammo like crazy. So typical cartridges like 223, 9mm, any of your defensive rounds, just your typical training rounds, people were buying them in bulk. And because of that, ammunition prices skyrocketed. I remember there was 223 for like 80 cents a round for range ammo. It was just absolutely wild. If you could find it, you paid an arm and a leg for it. So as that was happening, we were continuing to make content, and I had ample 223 and 9mm in our armory, but I didn't want to use it. I just didn't know if the ammunition crisis was going to continue, how long it would continue, and as many of you know, for the next 2 years, likely even a little bit into 2023, that ammunition crisis stuck with us. Primers were impossible to get and everything was expensive. Even if you were a reloader, it was nearly impossible to get ammunition to feed your guns. And for that reason, training with the ammo that you had was less appealing because you couldn't deplete what you had because you couldn't buy more. So when that first popped off, this is a story of where I think I did something really well. It doesn't always happen like that, but I timed it perfect, where I saw everybody was starting to talk about the fact that there was going to be an ammo crisis. So the moment that I heard people talking about it, I started thinking, what other cartridge could I purchase that I could train with in a modern platform, that I could run, that I can get right now for really inexpensive? I've got plenty of 223 and 9mm, but what else could I run that I don't mind if I burn down the ammo and it takes years to replenish it? And I landed on 5.45 by 39. In that moment, everybody was focused on 7.62 by 39 and those prices skyrocketed. There were Russian import bans over the years. The ammo became very scarce. The same thing happened with 5.45 by 39. But I remember going on to, I think it was Bulk Ammo. It might've been another website, I forget, but I found 5.45 by 39 ammo. I think it was 19 cents a round in 2020. So I bought 10,000 rounds of it. And it was a really good investment, it turns out, because that ammo then became nearly impossible to get your hands on it. And then on top of that, the prices skyrocketed just like everything else. But there's a window of time where I saw that the 5.45 ammo was way less expensive than anything else. And because of that, I was able to get my hands on it for a very low price. So that started my journey with the 5.45 cartridge. And how I landed on the Galil was about that same time in 2020, IWI announced that they were releasing 545 of these Gen 1 Galils in 5.45 by 39. So I have friends over there. I reached out to them. I was like, look, I just bought 10,000 rounds of 5.45 ammo. Let's work out something. I want to do some videos on the pistol. They agreed, they sent one out to me, and that's how I ended up with this Gen 1 Galil Ace. And it stayed in its stock form for some time, but that's the story of how I landed on this particular pistol. And also the 5.45 cartridge appealed to me because it has very similar, I'll say similar, ballistics to 5.56. It is different. This is an 8.6 inch barrel. I'm not gonna say that this is as good as a 16 inch in a velocity perspective, but 5.45 by 39 can be viewed very similarly to 5.56. So I knew that it would be soft shooting. I knew that it could potentially be accurate. And I knew that you could get soft point ammunition for it too. So I bought a couple thousand rounds of, I think they're 60 grain soft point. They're steel case like everything else. But that gave me the ability to get a pile of magazines for it, the right ammo for training, and also have the right ammunition for self-defense situations. And I did use this as my backpack gun for quite some time. So let's talk a little bit about the changes that I made to this platform and why I made those changes. And I think that if you've run a Gen 1 Galil, even the Gen 2 Galil pistols, there's a couple things that I'm gonna talk about that you're like, yeah, I could totally see how that would become burdensome, why it's not ideal. The first thing is their pistol brace. Their pistol brace just kind of friction slides on their buffer tube, if you wanna call it that. And I always found that it was moving. I ended up putting tape around it to keep it in place. It wasn't very intuitive. And on top of that, Gen 1 Galil folders are very difficult to fold. You gotta use an immense amount of force to push down, rotate them around. So I went with this setup that's just a push button. It adapts to a standard AR-15 buffer tube, which allows me to run the SB tactical brace, which made it a little bit more intuitive, gave better sling mounting options around the backside of the brace. And then when we move up forward on the pistol, the factory handguard is probably my least liked aspect of a Galil. When you have the plastic covers on it, it feels okay, but it's really bulky, really thick. And then when you remove those plastic covers, you're met with just 3 Picatinny rails they're just bulky. They're plastic, they're bulky, they don't feel good in your hand. They're hard to just run really fast and keep good purchase on the platform. So I never really liked the rail. The modularity of it wasn't there. On top of that, I did just do the plastic delete kit. The factory Galils have this huge plastic magazine well, and it just doesn't feel very refined, and it certainly doesn't look very refined. Now on top of that, I've always wanted to run this suppressed, but with the factory piston, that was just not an option. It just had too much gas. It would malfunction with almost every round. So I haven't been able to run it suppressed, and that's really why I wanted this particular platform as well, was to be able to run a can on it, keep it quieter. But to do that, I just installed the K&S adjustable gas piston into this platform, and I'll be able to dial that in to run suppressed. I did the exact same thing with my 7.6 2x39 Gen 1 Galil. And frankly, that 7.6 2x31, it's hanging on the wall behind me, is built very similarly to this. So when we look at the parts that I added that rail from RS Regulate, the K&S piston, I added the charging handle from K&S, the folder, I believe I got that from K&S, or it was RS Regulate. We can put that down in the description. And then on top of that, the plastic delete kit from K&S. All of this build is tailored around modularity, making a very capable, reliable platform even more user-friendly. That was one of the key components that I was looking for. So let's talk a little bit about what I might change over time. So I probably will end up swapping out this optic. The Crossfire optics are a great, really like budget-friendly optic, but I want something that's a little bit more capable on top of this particular pistol. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do there yet, but I'll probably do something. On top of that, this folder is a little bit more bulky. The 7.6 2x39 Galil that I have has the A3 tactical folder, and it has their stock on it. So I'll probably do something like that because it's gonna save a little bit of weight, make it a little bit more slim and easier to manage inside of a backpack. This works perfectly fine, but that's probably the only changes that I'm looking at doing in the near future. I think the real story with this particular pistol is the fact that this is quickly becoming my go-to training platform. And I know that that may seem a little strange to some of you when I've got ample 5.56s, we have ammo to run, but the reality of it is I'm kind of bored with AR-15s. It's not that I'm an expert at them and I still have so much more to learn with training and shooting, fighting rifles, but I wanted something that still had a similar feel, that had really light recoil, was compact enough to be able to throw it in a backpack, and to be suppressor friendly. And I want to just explore with this Galil, what does it look like to spend 3 months, 6 months, 9 months training with this over my AR-15s. And I'm not advocating saying that I'm gonna switch from AR-15s, because frankly, even though this, in my opinion, is the best AK variant, and that's gonna make some people really mad because it's not an AK, but it's the best AK-ish platform that I've ever found. Because of that, to me, it's acceptable. It runs really well, it feels really good, but it's not necessarily going to replace my AR-15s. There's still so many benefits to those AR-15s, but it's becoming my go-to, and one that I'm really, really excited to dive deeper into, to learn more about it, learn all the nuances of it. And now that it's more streamlined, it's faster to shoot, it's more dialed in with that K&S piston, I can enjoy my suppressor capabilities. It just gives me another option to learn on. And when you've been in the gun space for any amount of time, you've spent a lot of time around firearms, it's very common to just get bored of the same builds over and over and over, and I want to constantly be learning. So that is why this 5.45x39 is my go-to currently, and you'll see it in so many more videos going forward, especially over on the TA Targets YouTube channel. So I'm curious what you all think. What do you think of a build like this? Was it blasphemous for me to remove all the factory parts of a one of 545 Galils that exist, that will ever exist in the Gen 1? Was that a dumb move? Should I have just bought one of the Gen 2s? Should I have gone a different route? I'm curious what you all think. If you were me, what would you change on this particular pistol? I want to have a conversation down in the comment section, and I want to hear what you all think. That's a great way to interact. It's a great way for me to learn what interests you so that I can make content that you see valuable down the road. And on top of that, last thing I want to say, if you want to support the channel and you want to help me financially, the best way to do that is by buying a TA Targets Steel Target system. I do, in fact, financially benefit from that because I own the company. But if you like the content that we put out here, this isn't just me, this is an entire team that's working on these YouTube channels and building our brands and our businesses with the sole vision to inspire individuals to become capable providers and protectors. If you like the vision, you like what we stand for, and you like the content, I'd ask you to just get on the website over at tatargets.com. We'll put some links down in the description for my most recommended products that I run every single week. And if you feel called to, purchase something there, because that helps keep the YouTube channels alive, keeps the lights on, and it helps me pay property tax here in Pennsylvania. So I appreciate you all. Stay well, stay safe. I will see you in the next video.